From Darkness to Light, Le'Keshia Atchison's journey on the Standing in the Gaps podcast. In the latest episode of the Standing in the Gaps podcast, hosts Richy Errico and Aaron the Mann welcomed a special guest, Le'Keshia Atchison. This inspiring episode explored Le'Keshia's remarkable journey from the shadows of her past into the illuminating presence of God's grace. This episode of Highlights is sponsored by the King's Company and the Move Maker Toolkit. Picture this: a tool that learns your audience's language, engages them in the conversation, and turns passive scrollers into active participants. That tool is Move Maker. This Chrome extension is the missing link in your Facebook strategy, a bridge over the gap between content and conversion. It understands the intricacies of digital communication and crafts responses that resonate with your audience, driving up your engagement metrics like never before. Unlock the power of AI and watch as your Facebook page transforms into a hub of activity, where every interaction is a step towards business growth. With MoveMaker, you're not just updating your strategy, you're upgrading it. Check out the King's Company, link in the description below. Now on with the show. Welcome to the show. The episode commenced with the usual welcoming flair as the Richy introduced listeners to the Standing in the Gaps podcast. Broadcast every Tuesday at 6 p.m. East Coast time, it promises uplifting and spiritual content. Excitement buzzed as the Richy announced the special guest for the night, Le'Keshia Atchison, a multi-talented author and podcaster. Introducing Le'Keshia Atchison, ready to share her transformative story. Described as multi-talented, Le'Keshia has just released a new book, which she will discuss in detail. The episode titled, Out of the Darkness into the Light, could not have been more aptly named, as it mirrored the title of her latest literary work. Spiritual Insights and Testimonies. Le'Keshia's journey is a testament to her resilience and the transformative power of faith. Through her words, listeners learned that she hadn't always recognized her identity in God. For 39 years, she walked around with a false sense of self, unaware of the profound relationship she was destined to have with Him. Over the last 2 years, her journey has seen her publish 9 books, including spoken word collections and children's books. One of the poignant moments was when Le'Keshia reflected on her decade-long homosexual marriage. Contrary to common belief within some religious circles, she experienced God's presence, affirming that He hears and answers all prayers. This part of her testimony is crucial, especially for listeners who might feel marginalized or condemned by their communities. Launching a ministry. Le'Keshia's journey didn't stop at writing. Her ministry, symbolized through her podcast Set Your Soul on Fire, provides a platform for people to share their authentic, raw testimonies of God's work in their lives. The podcast is a beacon for those feeling broken, oppressed, or lost, offering hope and illustrating the expansive reach of God's love. The books and the podcast. Le'Keshia's latest book, Unmasking Deception, From Darkness to Light, is a guide aimed at counteracting the negative labels and lies the world imposes with the truth of God's Word. Through scriptures and affirmations, she helps readers reclaim their God-given identity. Set Your Soul on Fire podcast airs every Tuesday and Friday, bringing testimonies of faith that are unfiltered and relatable. Le'Keshia emphasizes that it's about the journey, including all the struggles and breakthroughs, and not just the transformation. Healing and Deliverance. Richy and Aaron both reflected on the episode's profound spiritual insights, particularly the distinct difference between seeing oneself as merely a servant of God versus living as a beloved son or daughter. This distinction is crucial. Understanding oneself as a child of God offers a deep, abiding sense of identity and purpose. Final thoughts and encouragement. Concluding the episode, Le'Keshia offered listeners a piece of heartfelt advice. Trust in God and His guidance. She shared her personal testimony of reconciliation and breaking generational curses, emphasizing that God's divine plan is always at work, even in the most challenging times. The Richy wrapped up the episode by reminding listeners of the hopeful message that the best is yet to come. The Standing in the Gaps podcast continues to be a source of spiritual nourishment and encouragement for all. For more information on Le'Keshia Atchison and to get links to her books and podcast, be sure to check the descriptions in the podcast episode. For more insights and to stay updated with Standing in the Gaps, Listeners are encouraged to like, subscribe, comment, and share their perspectives across various platforms like YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Facebook. Instagram and X are coming soon. Engage with the Standing in the Gaps community and share your thoughts on this timely and thought-provoking discussion. You can comment on YouTube or on the new Standing in the Gaps Facebook group. Check out the merch store where we have some cool t-shirts. The link is in the description. Tune in to the full episode of Out of the Darkness and Into the Light that will air on September 24th at 6 p.m. East Coast time for more inspiring stories and spiritual growth. And remember, my friend, the best with a capital B is yet to come.